Marlon Brando and Karl Malden were also together in the Streetcar Named Desire, which, as far as I know, was actually cast with these actors because they did it on the stage. So it looks like they still like to work together, or that somebody is happy to cast them together. Because we got Marlon Brando as Terry, and we have Karl Malden as Father Barry. Then also Lee J. Cobb is the big bad, Johnny Friendly, and we know him from the 12 Angry Men as juror number 3, who does a very good tirade at the end. And I can highly recommend 12 Angry Men. And the casting is really, really good. So I took a look at the ages of these actors, and Lee Cobb is definitely, let's call it, half a generation older than Marlon Brando, which he really needs to be. But for a moment there I thought, like, well, I mean, Marlon plays this young guy, but is he really so young? And that's really one of the things that was kind of like had me going up and down watching the movie, because everybody refers to Terry as kid, and that kind of makes you think, oh, maybe he's 20. And of course Marlon Brando is not 20, but he could play 20. No, he's got the modern jacket on, the 1960s look, the bomber jacket kind of thing, and everybody else got these longer coats on. It could be. He's the younger generation, but no, halfway in the movie you find out he's actually 30. Actually, more than halfway. Like 2/3, 3/4 into the film, where Terry talks to his brother Charlie, that he's 30. So 30 in 1960 is not kid. 13 in 1960 is you're pretty much halfway married, have a couple of kids, and you're being a pillar of society kind of thing. So Terry is not pillar of society. His brother looks like pillar of society kind of thing, because he's got his college, not degree, possibly, because he said he went to college. They never said he has a degree. And Charlie works for Johnny Friendly, played by Lee Cobb. So what I found interesting was the scene where Terry comes in after he's tricked his friend Joey, and he did what the gang wanted him to do, the gangsters. And he comes into what is their lair, which is a cafe or a pub or something like that. And he's there, and he's like being passed around almost by Friendly. I took some screenshots. Maybe we can see him here. I mean, Friendly picks him up, puts him down, like a kid, like a 15-year-old. Terry lets himself being picked up, put down. He's a former boxer. He knows you don't mess back with roughhousing with somebody who is like your superior. So it's like, and this is a situation that women find themselves in. At least I did, and I've heard other women talk about it. It's like, they're touching you. They think it's cute to pick you up, put you down, spin you around or something like that. It's like, you're seeing Brando take it as Terry, and then there's the scene where he's kind of counting the money. Terry's counting the money. He's been told to count the money. They keep chattering at his ears, and I think that would have messed his counting up. And he says, I messed up the counting. And then Friendly just leans on him, grabs his complete torso, and scruffles his head. I'm like, what is going on? That is very unusual. So I would love to hear what Brando and Cobb have to say about those scenes, because it's like, why did you do that? Is that what's going on? Because it was almost like it was choreographed, but I am going to guess that it wasn't. That it was more that these actors were leaning into what they think these characters would be doing, how they would be acting, because you kind of get the feeling that is around Brando, you get this atmosphere of lifting everybody's performance. Everybody's going, oh shit, he's giving me nothing. He's playing me completely off the screen. That's not an expression. Yeah, Brando is outperforming everybody, and you can kind of see, at least I feel that I can see all these actors going, F-bomb, now I have to really
work for a living.
And it's so good. And that you can kind of forget about the story. The story is actually very good, so don't forget about the story. But you can forget about the story and start watching how the moment he has a one-on-one scene with somebody is like, what are they doing? You saw it with brother Charley, played by Rod Steiger, or Rod Steiger, however it's pronounced. And they're in the car. This is like the famous scene with "I could have been a contender" kind of lines, and you're seeing that they have some beats that they have to hit in the story, and Brando is not giving him the possibility to hit that beat. So you kind of see Rod Steiger just squirm, but in such a good way, because his role should be squirming at that point. He needs to either get his younger brother to disappear, or to take a job that they organized for him because they need him out of town at this point, or he's going to literally deliver him to his death, because the moment that they stop at the right, this is inside the car, and when they stop at a specific point and let Terry out, that will definitely be, he's going to be jumped, he's going to be killed. Although he is a boxer, and everybody keeps forgetting that he's, they say kid, but is a pretty lethal. He's very well trained. Another scene where that happened was with the first scene that you've got with Eva Marie Saint as Edie. Yes, there is only one woman in this film, and there are uncountable amount of men. It's 1960. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Fortunately, the men that are there are worth looking at, so that's watching their performance. So that's nice. But yeah, just the one. We have one woman and we have one person of color, but the person of color has a line, multiple lines, so that's good. The Peanut Gallery just told me that. Is it okay because the white guys are worth watching? Yeah, it's still not okay. But the white guys are worth watching. It would just be great if there was more variety. There's a little bit of variety, not much, really not much, in age, because we do have Pop, which is Edie's father, plus also Joey's father, because Edie and Joey are brother-sister. Joey's the guy that got murdered at the beginning, which Terry was the stoolie for, the stooge. He was sent to get the attention of Joey and send him up on the rooftop. A couple minutes later, that's the beginning of the film. It's all the trailers. At any rate, we always do spoilers here, so it doesn't sit well with Terry, but it takes him an awful long time to actually bounce off the world that this is, I don't feel right about this. Is that something? Is that a thing? And I saw some reviews on this film saying that it's about a man-child becoming a man, and I can see that from a man's perspective. However, and maybe from a literary perspective, however, I feel a 30-year-old cannot count as a man-child. I'm sorry, but a man-child is a 15 to 21-year-old who has no information, has been sent out in the world to do man things.
Or a man-child is the man who never lets himself be a man and is always in the child position, like him being picked up and put down,
passed around with the guys at the office.
And a man-child can go into his 60s if the situation is like that.
Yeah, so that in that sense, it's an education for me. It's like, wow, he can really be stuck in that position, because he was there was no mother or whatever, and then the father at some point died. He and the brother ended up in orphanage kind of situation. So if the brother is a little bit older, but at 30 the brother doesn't have to be much older. He can be only a year older. We know he's an older brother, but that's about it. So, but at 30 or 31, are you still calling your kid brother kid? Yes, actually you will. Because of course he will forever be kid. However, he's already got an entire boxing career in his past. Somebody with that kind of history. He quit school at the earliest possible moment, started becoming professional boxing. Sorry, but that is not a kid. But it's the attitude of the young man or the man, and it's the attitude of the entire surroundings. If the entire surroundings keep saying you're a child, we will take care of you, which this gangster group, which is the Union, is doing. Took me a while to figure this out because they're not very forthcoming about this information in the film, but the gangster group that Johnny Friendly heads is the Union of the dock workers, of the longshoremen. And that's a construction that's very weird. Now, I was thinking this may be a way to talk about... I mean, yes, you're talking about the work situation of the common man and certainly the the blue collar worker at the docks, the day workers. Wikipedia tells me that they get, if it can be a good income. So there is that. Let's take that as a base. However, these guys, this was not now, this is 1960s. Maybe at that point it was an okay income, but there were too many workers and there was not enough work. So then it becomes automatically a bad situation. And the moment that you go up for day work and you don't get picked, now you have a problem. The film is not consistent about this because the narrative is getting picked for the job every morning is what the Union is for. The Union should make sure that you are all getting picked. You pay into the Union, you're getting picked to do all the work, and you may be able to get picked for better work, etc.
That's not what a union is for.
Yeah. That's what they're doing here.
That's not a union, that's something else.
Yeah, they're talking about dues. The calculation I have is 2,000 members, $70,000. This is $1960. That's was it $36 per guy because they're all men. No doubt about that, and per year. So yeah, that's maybe a lot of money. I didn't check that. Maybe we can have a quick calculation here.
I think it's about times 10 for 1960.
Yeah. So that's so they're paying the equivalent of $30 a month into this union. That's you can expect something for that. The normal dues in the Netherlands for unions is about 25 euros, which is similar to about $30. So it's actually just spot on. However, this union is a fraud, is a gangster group. And so I'm wondering, yes, we have an interesting film here about the worker situation here. But would it have been about unions and dock workers if there wasn't a Hays Code? Because what I think they're trying to do is to write a film about gangsters, mob, when the common man is plagued in your normal day's work by the mafia.
By 1960s, I think the idea of unions is starting to not become popular anymore. They were popular in the 20s, 30s,
yeah.
but at some point they become unpopular, and now they're very unpopular, and they have uses, so they think they should be. But this is not a union as it should be.
No, and everybody knows it. And the police would like to do something about it. This is similar like in the film Victim, the British film, where the police understands that the setup is wrong, but please somehow can we help you? Can we get somebody to at least testify against. And guess what our Terry has to learn to do? Why should he stand up? Is there something to stand up against? He makes a good case for if you only stand up against something if they're trying to squash you, you squash them back. That's all he's ever learned. He got squashed. This is back to the scene in halfway through, more than halfway through the film, is in the car, because it's a pivotal scene where he talks to his brother and says, "But you told me to take a dive." Brother was already working for Johnny Friendly. And that meant that Terry was effectively working for Johnny Friendly as a professional boxer. And he had to take a dive at the time where he thought he could make a stand. And then he says, "I could have been a contender, but now I'm a bum." And I think that's an interesting message in the film, is to say his whole identity after whatever, this may have been 3-4 years ago already. Maybe even longer. Maybe this happened at 20 and he's now 30 and he's not done anything but just run errands for Johnny Friendly for 10 years. Be a bit sad, but that's pretty much what it looks like. I'm still very surprised at his age. I would have pegged this guy at 22.
Maybe that the part was 22, but they wanted Brando in it and he cannot pass as a 22 anymore.
He cannot pass. But he could make us believe it.
And there's a limit to that.
There is a limit, but
maybe 27.
Yeah, make it. And he's 36 at the time of filming, so, or 35 possibly if they filmed the year before, whenever they were filming. I would have liked that they have said, okay, make it vaguely, like 25 plus or whatever, just young enough. Because next problem with the age is he went to school with Edie, and so now he probably went to school with Joey. Joey may have been the older brother of the two, of Edie and Joey, and so then Edie would be, let's call it, 2 years younger. But Edie is in school in higher education to become a teacher. Now that takes 4 years. And you get out of high school at 16, 17 or 18, depending on what kind of school you go to or whatever, however it works. So at the most, she's 22. And she's not finished yet, so she's 21. She cannot be 21 if
he is 30.
Yeah, so I think Peanut Gallery is quite correct, is that the role was probably supposed to be a 24, 5-year-old, 22-year-old, somewhere vaguely in that ballpark. Because to drift along for 10 years in this situation and being groped by the boss. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I don't know if Terry enjoyed it. I don't mind some man groping men. No, it's not appropriate, and it shows that they were they were keeping him in a boy state. And then yes, Manchild on the streets. I get it. And the interesting arc is, how does he wring himself out of that mental state, which is being reflected from the people around him constantly, including his brother. New guy on the scene, and Edie. The new guy on the scene is Father Barry, and it's Karl Malden. I didn't look up his age, but he's probably contemporary to Marlon Brando. So maybe 35, and that's fine, because he's a father. He's from somewhere else. He doesn't have to be, but he's young and he wants to make a stand. Also, he needs to come up, because I do like the role of Edie, because she talks to Father Barry, and she tells him straight. It's like her brother got killed, so she has nothing to pull her punches for.
No hoots to give.
Yeah, she gives no hoots. She's like, you're doing nothing. You go back to your church, do nothing. That's fine. And he's like, oh shit, I want to do something. I guess I need to come out of my church. And he does. And he does a very good job. And then he pulls out, and she also takes Terry to task. Because it's like, right, I expected more from you. Because Terry actually likes her. This is the only woman, it looks like, or person at all, that he's ever met that is actually interesting, has a brain, is not doing the standard things that everybody is playing in this play acting world where you have, this is what you do in the morning, this is what you do in the evening, and then you report to Johnny Friendly, and then you give him the money, and then maybe he hands you some money back, here's your cut. And then he tells you to help kill your friend. Because we don't know how well the friendship between Joey and Terry was, but they were both up at the top of the buildings, taking care of the pigeons or training pigeons. And that's interesting that's also in there. It's like they're training pigeons. So there's like this, and there's little boys, 14-year-olds, that are on the rooftop, because they're going to school all day, of course, and then they're on the rooftop with the pigeons. So there's all this dynamics going on. I think there's a lot of thought that went into this film, and I think having Marlon Brando just F with everybody's scene is just awesome. The ending was really good. Because you do go to the inevitable part of now he has to take a stand. How is he going to do that? He's a boxer. That's how he's going to take a stand. And what does a boxer always do? He will get up. And I love it. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean. It's the fact that that's what it comes down to. Get up. For the peanut gallery, it's he was knocked down by all the bad guys by standing up for what's right, and then what he needed to do was walk past them and go into the factory or not the factory, the docks, to the big building to do the dock working, the longshoreman work. And if he did, then everybody would follow him, which was, of course, finale. The entire dock's full of dudes, and one woman, and a priest. I suppose a priest is a dude as well.
Somewhere under the outfit, yes.
This priest was a dude.
So is this movie about growing up as a man in a man's world?
I think that's very much what I want to do, is to show how you can be not a man, and to show how you can transition to be a man. And every scene that Terry has with somebody furthers that story. So it's a very clever script. And you can watch past it. You can just go, oh, there's gangsters, and there's somebody gets killed. Oh, lots of blood. He had some quite explicit blood all over his arm at one point. And like, okay, that's relatively hefty for Hays Code, 1960s. There's the brother gets killed. That's graphic. And I think the Marlon Brando aspect of it is then he's showing how you can do this, but for a modern audience. This could have been, let's call it a Western type, clunk into town and go, hey, I'm the priest, hey, I'm the former boxer, and we're gonna knock this town into shape. So, not like that. No, this is hard. And I think also the priest came into his own. He didn't have as large a step to go, because he was, of course, expecting, I'm going to be a priest. I'm going to have a congregation. I will do my sermons, and then they will come to me. And it's like at one point he thinks that Terry is coming to him for confession. Oh yeah, priest, I mean Catholic. So coming to him for confession, and he's like, find another priest, I'm busy. Because he's about to run out to go do actual stuff, which is great. It is about becoming a man. It's also, what do you do if everything is stacked against you? And that's universal, because Edie had the same problem, Joey had the same problem. And maybe the concept of having the union, if the union's turned bad and is doing things that it's not even supposed to be doing, and it's terrorizing everybody, is that the union is keeping you down. And nobody stood up. So not just Terry had to stand up.
But they don't make the point that this union is not an actual union.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well that's at the script.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Oh, they're a bunch of gangsters. There's no doubt about it. The police know it. The news knows it, and that's also a question. Is like, how long would they even be able to keep this up at this point anymore? Because we are 1960. We are going in a world where everything is in the newspaper tomorrow. Things were even on the news, on the television news. So they were making a point of somebody who's watching Johnny Friendly on the news, clearly lying his ass off. And we're supposed to know who this person was because it was filmed on behind. I have no idea who this person was, but I think they are still making also another point about the gangsters. That's a 1960s point, possibly a New York point. I don't know. Something they did with to show poverty was the jacket. So Terry has a jacket that looks very, very modern. We got actors. They got a jacket. They put some they gouged some in it. It still looks good. Sorry, the black and white just makes it not. It's a brand new jacket that somebody put a knife to, so that doesn't look worn out. But Joey's jacket has its own storyline, which is cool because Joey has a storyline, but he is off screen, and the only moment that he's on screen is you can't see his face because the light's from behind. That's on purpose, obviously. But his jacket has a whole life in this film, and it goes from being given, like, the Joey and Edie's pa is shown to be a generous man. He's shown it by sending Edie to a college outside of town and away from all of this. But also because he immediately hands the jacket over to his friend. His friend turns around, takes his jacket off and gives it to somebody else. Said, I got a jacket for you. And that was a really shabby jacket. So this is showing how poor everybody is. You have one jacket and you wear it to the bone. And then eventually the jacket ends up with Terry. And I think that's not so much about growing up, but it's taking ownership of that he has a part responsibility in the death of Joey, and that he's going to do something about it. Because I was like, ooh, would you ever want to wear that jacket? And he is wearing it. And that's good. That works. Yeah. So as a prop, it's very good. He also has this hook that he hooks around his shoulder, and he has like a piece of, it's a metal hook with wooden handle. And that works. Some of them do have that. And I that kind of looks very Brando-ish to me. It's like, okay, but he's also got the hook, because if he does get a job that morning, then that hook's gonna help him grab all these things too. Because they're longshoremen. They just have to do a lot of heavy lifting the whole time. Yeah, I think it's a great movie. I had only heard the title before. And of course, Marlon Brando. I didn't even know Karl Malden was in it, and Lee Cobb was in it, and Eva Marie Saint is introduced in it. And they're all great. It's excellent. It's a good film. Go watch it. Good stuff. And that's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it.